mommies and poppies. It's Yawnie, your DJ, and Dance Chucky with today's Dose of the Dime. Thank you for tuning in right here on the Batchelor News Radio Network. And for those of you following me online, thank you for showing up and showing out. And I appreciate everything that you guys come and say hi to me. I appreciate it because you could be anywhere else. I do want to let you know that if you are ever interested in watching any of my older podcasts or any of my other broadcasts, you may do so at thebatchelornews.airtime.pro. It's actually a really good website with all the different shows on there, the different shows from that go on the radio. And there's a lot of different shows, a lot of different topics. And so definitely something you should check out. Also, I would suggest that you also come to my Facebook group. It's called A Dose of the Dime Radio Show, where we talk about different hot topics every week. We got a couple of them that I want to address today. But also definitely, if you are liking the content that you see and you want to follow me, I am on all forms of social media, including TikTok and YouTube. I'm also on Instagram and Pinterest. But there's definitely content everywhere you go, something for you, and hopefully you can find your groove, vibe, shift, and heal. Okay, definitely want to talk about the full moon yesterday. It was beautiful, glorious. Listen, and how fitting that it was on Martin Luther King Day. Taking some time to think about those things that we want to let go of and release. That is a wonderful opportunity to think about how you want to move forward. And since you guys should have been settling into your New Year's resolutions or working on your New Year's plans for your goals, how is it working? Did you give yourself time to check in and figure out if it's working well? Is there something else that you need to do? Do you need to shift? Do you need to move? What is it is going well? What is it that's not going well? I have already missed my deadline to post on my blog. So it means I need to get back at it and rewire some stuff so that I can make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing to stay in alignment with my goals, right? So definitely something that you want to touch on. Every month there's a new moon where we set new intentions, and then every month there's a full moon where we release negative energy. So make sure that you get on that and do that for yourself, okay? Definitely the hot topics. Okay, so I posted in the group, women instantly lose interest in a man when he blank. And I said women only. Now, of course, there were our usual cats that come in and want to say something funny. And of course, I would go back to, listen, I don't want to hear from you. I only want to hear from women. But somebody brought up something interesting. And of course, they removed their comment instantly, but I caught it. I saw it. You can't do it. I saw it. They said, now remember, the quote is, women instantly lose interest in a man when he blanks. And he said, tells the truth. I have something to say about that. Because here's the thing, something that I've noticed. When men tell the truth and they're honest about their dealings, whether they be shady or whether they not be shady, I've noticed that for whatever reason, these men, if the women decide that they don't want to be with them, then the guys are like, well, see, I told her the truth and she couldn't handle it. That's not the case. That's not even fair. It's not necessarily that you told her the truth and she couldn't handle it. Could it be interesting to note that just because you told her the truth does not obligate her to stay with you? It doesn't obligate her to stay with you. If I don't like what you're selling, if I don't like what you're giving, if I don't like what you're telling me, I'm gonna leave. Why should I stay if I don't agree with what it is that you say? It doesn't mean that we don't want you to tell the truth. Thank you for giving me the option to stay or to go. However, that's not my bag. So for instance, let's just say, say a guy says, well, I don't have time for a relationship right now, but I'm looking for a relationship. So would it be in my best interest to continue to see this person even though he's told me the truth? No. So I go back to, just because you tell us the truth, it does not obligate us to stay. It does not obligate, and vice versa. If a woman tells you the truth, like for a while there, I'm pretty, dead set on not necessarily getting into a serious relationship right now. So if I say I'm not really ready for a relationship, and then a guy comes to me and they want a relationship, he is not obligated to stay with me either. He does not have to accept that. You don't. And I may tell you the truth, but it doesn't mean that that you can't handle the truth. It just means that you don't accept that deal, and you don't have to. We look at stuff every day and we decide we don't want to buy it. So why is it not okay? So when a man tells the truth or a woman tells the truth, that you have to stay? That's not how it goes down. Gotta sip my tea. Listen, it gets real in these streets. So let me ask you. We're going to do a new topic next week. Well, actually, I already posted it. I just wanted to see what happened. It's already blown up. What is hard about dating you? What is hard about having a relationship with you? And I don't mean from your perspective, because of course there's always things that we don't like about ourselves. I'm talking more so from the perspective of what is it that is really hard for someone else to maybe deal with you. And that's going to take some reflection off the top. I'm busy. I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. I'm always in the streets and doing something. I try to take moments to, reach out to people that I love, but sometimes I don't. It just doesn't happen. And then, of course, my goals, my livelihood, my loves are first. Everything else, unfortunately, takes a back seat. So, and then there's the validation piece. I require validation. So it's almost unfair to a certain extent. So yeah, what is it about you? I want you to reflect and get on there, get in the chat and let me know. What is it about you that people find hard to love or you feel like it might be harder for people to adjust to? Okay. Let me know in the comments. Okay. Definitely last week was an interesting topic. We talked about love bombing and we talked about what it was and what it looks like and how it happens. So for those of you who maybe haven't heard of the term love bombing, think about you go into a classroom, you meet your teacher, and this teacher is the best teacher ever, and they give you so much attention, and every time your hand goes up, they call on you, and every day you get extra stickers, and they let you take, passes to the principal, and you run notes all over the place. You are getting all of the special attention and nobody else is getting. And then this goes on for like months, and then all of a sudden, one day you come into the classroom and they don't even look your direction. And so your first intention, your first thing is, what did I do wrong? And that's not necessarily what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that. But that's immediately where we go to, what did I do wrong? What did I do? How did I make them mad? And that's what love bombing does. It gets you in this space of questioning yourself as to why somebody else's behavior has changed towards you. But it's intense. And I'm talking expensive trips. I'm talking total amounts of attention, which is what gets us into these traps, especially those of us who have abandonment issues, because I'm one of them. Listen, if you have abandonment issues or you have neglect issues, the amounts of attention that you'll get from somebody that's love bombing you is going to be immense. And you're going to feel like you have found the one. This is my person, and I'm going to be with them forever. And they do these things that you asked for, and they fall in alignment with your list. And you feel like this is the one, this is my soulmate. And then they split and they turn on you. Well, you want to know why they know all these things about you? You told them. Stop trauma dumping. Number one, you have got to stop trauma dumping. You've got to safeguard your information. Let conversation flow naturally. If you give, expect some back. If they ask questions back. A lot of people who have been love bombed cannot really tell me much about the person that love bombed them, because they don't give up any information. They're only there to take that information. So definitely make sure that you kind of check in with that. One of the real ways that I have found to find out if you are dealing with a narcissist, and this is kind of jumping ahead of subject, is to, when you guys are talking in a talking phase, disagree with one thing that they say. Like, as opposed to they ask you to go on a date, change the location. Changing the location may seem little, but to a narcissist who needs to have control over everything, it could be huge. And it can almost send them into a tailspin. And they may even browbeat you until you agree to go to wherever it was that they were going to. So definitely try to listen when you are dealing with these people and you're starting to date, because yeah, you can fall into some pitfalls. And that's my goal, is to kind of keep you guys out of that. I want you guys to date safely in the new year. Find somebody that loves you. Because here's how it goes with people who are toxic, and this is normally the cycle that it takes. The narcissist or somebody that's toxic is going to uplift you because they can't find any flaws. You have something that they want. They're loving it. They love everything about you. And then they find the flaw. And then they start to devalue you. And how that normally comes about is through gaslighting, where they kind of make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about, or you start to question yourself, or you start to feel guilty, or you feel pity for them. But whatever it is, the gaslighting is for them to get their way. And after they devalue you, normally they're going to disregard you or dump you. So that's why I'm saying I want you guys to go into these situations knowing kind of what it is that you're looking for. And please understand when I say this, a lot of people think I'm only talking about women. I am not. There are women narcissists out here, and toxic women like you would not believe. Some of them are in my caseload. So definitely something that you want to be on the lookout for. I'm talking generally. Okay. Another way that people gaslight you is by invalidating your feelings. And unfortunately, and just because somebody gaslights you does not mean that they're narcissists or they're toxic. This can happen normally. Like, for instance, if you have a kid and they skin their knee and, they get up and there's no blood, and you kiss it and you give it all the little attention that it needs. And then you go, oh, it's not that bad. You're now devaluing what it is that they said. That's not something that you want to do either. Nor do you want to get into the habit of everybody's feelings are justified. Now, whether it has to do with you or not, that's the different subject. And that's where you want to get to a space of not everything is your fault, but they feel their feelings. Okay. Now, what you do want to stay away from is people that maliciously gaslight you. That's a real thing. So do not trauma dump. Do not information overload people. Try to stay within the boundaries of the relationship. If they are doing too much too fast, if they're asking for a title too much too fast, if they're telling you they love you within the first week and a half, these are some people that you want to kind of step back for. Those are red flags. They're definitely red flags. Okay, so you just want to be careful and be accommodating. Because it's not just you want to love them, you also want to be loved. So we want to make sure that our hearts are safe, okay? But do tell them your standards. Standards are important. And when you say your standards, when you put out your boundaries, when you say this is what I will deal with, this is what I don't, stick to that. Don't let somebody browbeat you into doing something that you don't want to do, or dating in a way that you don't feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, guys, love is an action verb. And what you accept is what you can expect. So if you accept something that you really don't like or don't want, that's unfortunately going to be it's not the exception, but it's going to be the expectation for the rest of the relationship. That's why I worry about some of these guys that go in and love bomb genuinely, like they're pouring all of this emotion into this woman, because when you can't pour all of that emotion, all that time, all that money, all that energy, and you're not doing it on purpose, you're doing it because you really care about this person, you have to keep that up, because then the woman's like, well, what happened? You were all of this 2-3 weeks ago and now you're not. So that's why I say, guys, whatever you put out there, you have to keep it up. And whatever you accept from the person is what you can expect. This is real. So just make sure you keep your boundaries healthy. Make sure that you take the 3 months to get to know somebody before you go deeper into a relationship, and definitely get clear on what your standards are. So we talked about this before, and I think my producer came for me. I think he did, and was saying, I'm very clear that when I go on a date, if I have to go into my pocket on a first date without any prior conversation about this, that there's not going to be a second date. And I'll explain why. If we decide to go Dutch, that's one thing. If I'm just meeting you for coffee, we're just trying to find out if we have a vibe. That's one thing. But if I go on a date with you, first of all, I will always bring my share of money. I will always do that, just because I've seen too many times when women have been left hanging out there with nothing. Okay. But I will always bring my fair share of money just to make sure that I am covered. Okay. And let's take a quick break before we go into that, because that's a whole other conversation. Let's get real. All right, so let's talk about the Feature Album Friday. Now, every Friday on the Batchelor News Radio Network, there is a Feature Album Friday artist. And this week is going to be Gerald Levert. Listen, I had such a crush on him. I think he's where I got my big boy taste from, because he is sexy and big. I love him sexy and big. Listen, but at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, that's when they do Feature Album Friday. And what they do is they play 30 minutes of Gerald Levert or whatever artist is featured, and then they go into their whole discography. Listen, it is so mellow and moody. I love it. Also, we also have what they call Whispers. And it's the same thing as their Quiet Storm. So the Quiet Storm, where they play all the soulful, sunshiny, sappy, sexy music to kind of wind the day down. And so the Batchelor News Radio Network has their own version of it, in which they play at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday through Friday, not on Saturday. Okay, so make sure that you tune in for that. And with that, I'm going to kick it to the man. Thank you for tuning in to the Batchelor News Radio Network. Give me 30.
If you're an African-American man, you need to know about oral cancer. Oral cancer is more common in African-American men than in any other group in the U.S. If you have a sore or lump in your mouth that doesn't go away after 2 weeks, see a doctor or a dentist. Most often, these symptoms don't mean cancer, but it's important to get them checked. If you do have oral cancer, it can be treated more successfully if it's caught early. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, National Institute of Health.
All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in to the Batchelor News Radio Network. As I told you, it was going to be a little juicy. So do understand. And not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's fine. I am okay with that. When you are in an official relationship, whether it be a marriage or even just living together, a woman takes the brunt of most of the damage when it comes to a relationship. We sacrifice. Now, I'm not talking money and time. I'm honestly talking about, if a woman gets pregnant, she sacrifices her body. If she gets pregnant, she also sacrifices some of her career, because you have to take that time to heal your body back. And so that's 6 weeks you don't get back. If the relationship goes haywire or goes south, all of a sudden now you have children. So you now have, and I don't want to say liabilities, but the woman normally takes the brunt of the relationship. She's normally the one that's cooking and cleaning. She's normally the one that's taking care of the kids. And then her body also suffers the abuse of all of these things that go on. Now, am I saying that it's unfair? No, I'm saying this is, if you do gender roles, because not everybody does, if you do gender roles, that this is part of who we are, okay? However, so for me, knowing that that's who I am, that if you're my man, I'm going to take care of you, that if you need something, I'm going to make sure you got it. If you need dinner, I'm going to make sure it's cooked. If the kids need to be taken care of, I'm going to jump on that. Knowing who I am, I know my worth up front. So therefore, I'm going to say, if I have to come out of my pockets on a first date without there being any prior discussion, there will not be a second. Does it sound cheap? It might, and that's fine. Obviously, that person is not the person for me. It's real simple. These are my standards. Are you a text person? Are you a phone call person? These things you need to know up front, because if you're not, and you go into a relationship with a texter and you're a phone call person, you're going to have problems up front. Because I am busy, because I'm seeing clients all the time, I am unfortunately consistently on my phone texting. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to call all the time. It just doesn't happen. So phone call people, and I tend to bump heads, because after having therapy and doing life coaching sessions, I don't even have the space to do long conversations unless it's in person or on text. So you need to know these things up front. house dates and worrying about your safety, ladies and gentlemen. Men, do not bring women to your house on the first date. You don't know who that woman is. You don't. And ladies, do not ever invite a man to your house on the first date. To me, that's not even a first date. You should be somewhere public where you guys eat. It doesn't have to be paid for. You can go somewhere that's free. You can go to a park and have a picnic, but do be safe about it, especially now that we're doing internet dating. Guys, this is not something that you want to do. I promise. You don't know who that other person is. I've seen or had to deal with so many girls that have been date raped, or so many guys that have gotten hustled and hurt behind somebody coming to their house on the first date or second or third. So you just want to make sure that you are safe about the things that you guys are doing. I'm just saying. And then, of course, here's something that's in preparation for getting a mate. Have you made space in your home for a new person? Am I talking about moving in? I'm not. I'm talking about, are you making space in your home? Are you removing the past? Like, if you got something from an ex-girlfriend, it needs to not be in everybody's sight. If it's something that you want to keep, then you need to pack it away. But if you're not making space in your home, in your life for a new person, they're not going to show up. Or if they show up, they're not going to stay long, especially if they have to fill a ghost shoes. All right. So when we go into a relationship, and that's another thing that I definitely want to make sure that we talk about, is holding other people accountable for what has happened to you in the past. You don't do it that way. The goal is to learn the lesson. So once you've learned the lesson, you can move forward with a way that you don't hold everybody accountable for what happened to you in the past. If you see it, then you can identify it and say, hey, I see what this that you're doing, and this that you're doing is going to be a problem for us. And then that way you guys can address it. But no, we don't hold everybody accountable for stuff that's happened to us in the past. Because it's unfair. If a woman has treated you badly in the past, and here I am, and I'm trying to communicate with you, and I'm trying to work through these things, you shutting me out because every time this other woman would yell at you, that's not fair to me. So we both have to put in effort in order to make things work. And unfortunately, it is what it is. It is effort. Should love be hard? No, it should not be hard. Is it some work? Yeah. And unfortunately, here's the kicker, because you're not going to know that you're healed until you start getting into a relationship and you start bumping up against these bruises that you thought were healed, and they may not be. And that's the time that you go in to take and to start mending these things that you have going on. If you have trust issues, allowing yourself to say, you know what, I have trust issues, but I'm going to allow this to go on until they give me reason otherwise. And so, and the same thing with anxiety in a relationship. So if you have relationship anxiety, which a lot of us do, it's the reason why when somebody doesn't text us back right away, we automatically think that they have moved on, or that they don't want to, or that they don't want to talk to you. These types of things, our anxiety in a relationship, that's what's going to set people back. Looks like we have a question real quick. It says, Dawn in Denver said, I know if off topic, but I have been a widow for over 2 years, and I feel lonely, and I want to be loved but feel guilty. When should I start dating, or should I start dating now? Sister, I cannot answer that whole entire question for you. I can just give you my little bit. And it's not off topic, because you are looking at a new year. You have buried your husband or wife. I'm not sure which. I'm assuming it's husband. I think that moving forward, you should, one, start building a life that you love. Number one, start building a life that you love. And then once you start building a life that you love, make sure you put places in that life where you can meet new people. It all starts with friendship. There is nothing wrong with having a friendship. My father will, as long as I have known him, would tell you that he married his soulmate. Hands down, nothing else. He would tell you, I married my soulmate. And so when she died, it was really painful for him and to watch him go through that. So these are some of the things that I'm talking about. Does it mean that there is no more room for love? No. It just means that your definition of love and what you are going to look forward to and expect may be different, because you won't be able to find your husband, but you will be able to find someone that will love you. And that's what's most important. So I think, I hope that answered your question, and move forward slowly. And it's not off topic. You're good to go, sis. All right. It looks like Miss Peaches said to your comment that past ghosts. Miss Peaches also said room in your heart. Yeah. Listen, you gotta have you when you are starting to date, you want to make sure that you have prepared that space, because these ghosts in your heart, man, they will haunt the new person and you. And unfortunately, it'll continue to create trauma in your life, because you're going to run somebody else off and then you're going to sit there and be brokenhearted. It is absolutely important that we start healing ourselves first. And again, some of these hurts you're not going to find until you get into a relationship, and then you start bumping yourself and start bruising yourself, and then then you know, okay, I need to continue to work on this. Okay, so let's see, please make a comment in a pro. Okay, I see that that's a comment to the crowd. I'm happy that you guys are participating. Please let me know if you have any comments. Hit it in a chat below, and we will definitely try to get it answered before my time is up. Okay, so listen, if you do think something is up, if you are feeling like something is up and you're not for sure what it is, ask. Use your communication skills. Communication is king. And I put this in the Facebook group, absolutely, because the Facebook group is where we can all come together and kind of talk about it. So there was a different perspective that I had saw on TikTok, where they talked about not just communication, but comprehension. But communication is king. Communication is king. You've got to have communication. So if you feel like something is up, if they didn't send the heart emoji when they texted you, or it took them 2 hours to respond to your last text, do ask them, hey, is something up? And do not bombard their phone. Wait. Do not send 50 million texts. Do not call them. Wait for them to respond. Now, if it takes them a day and a half to respond, you have your answer. And I know nobody wants to ever hear that. But if it takes them that long to respond, then yeah, you have your answer. Because it only takes a few seconds to text somebody back. So Miss Sharu in Tulsa, Oklahoma says, what message does a dick pic on a day one conversation convey? Woo! Yeah, that was right for the jugular. Listen, my father always said that a person will tell you exactly what it is that they're interested in with what they continue to come back to. A dick pic, while I don't know, I'm assuming I could say that they're all about sex, but I don't know. They might be trying to entice you. However, my mind would say they think that you would feel it was flattering that you were offered such a humble dick pic. But no, dick pics, guys, unless a woman asks for it, please do not send dick pics. Please do not send dick pics, because what you're telling her is that all you're thinking about is what you're going to do with that. And so no, that's a no. That's a huge red flag. Okay, so that one's an interesting one. Well, and listen, don't take things personally. If they did not respond to your dick pic appropriately the way you want them to, it is not necessarily about you. Maybe you should change your approach, especially if you're not just interested in sex. That is an interesting, yeah, that's funny. Oh, wow. So do we have any guys in the comments that want to say why it is that they send dick pics? I'm open to that. Listen, make sure you do establish your boundaries, ladies. If you do receive one and this is not what you're trying to do, say, excuse me, this is not what I'm trying to do. I think you misunderstood. I thought we were trying to build a relationship or some type of friendship. But this right here, what you're doing right here, that's going to get you blocked. because that's how you get blocked in my inbox. Definitely. Okay. So listen, communication is a two-way street. You cannot just talk to talk. You have to talk to listen. Um, so if they know more about you than you know about them, and they are catering to you, which is why I was saying sometimes the love bombing is not intentional. Um, it can build resentment, especially if they give up something that is important to them. So, say, for instance, when I think I've told this story before, when I lived in St. Louis and I met my now ex-husband, he did all kinds of things. He was very attentive, sent flowers. He was really very sweet. And I would say to a certain extent, even love bomb to a certain extent, but not in a malicious way. He really was intent on getting me as a partner. And so I came to him with what it was that, well, I'm a vegetarian, I'm into African dance, and I'm very frugal. And so he took that as a way to just be with me. But unfortunately, he gave up pieces of himself that he needed in order for him to be happy. And that's what I'm talking about. What you put out there, people will tend to expect. What you accept is what you can expect. So instead of only presenting your representative, make sure that you put your pieces out there too. Make sure you put your pieces out there too, because it was not fair of him or me to expect him to give that up. And I didn't want him to, but he did. And it built up resentment between he and I, which ended up snowballing and becoming ugly. So we want our relationships to last. All of them. So definitely making sure that you're not only communicating to be heard, but that you're communicating and you're listening to the person. Because if you don't know enough about them to even start a conversation, then yeah, you're building up a failed relationship. It says, Unknown said, if they show you who they are, believe them. And that is a true story. True story. And they will tell you in more than one way. They will. Okay. Their relationships are worth saving if both parties are invested in saving it. If you put in the time, if you put in quality time, if you have vested interests and you guys are both putting in work together, you can make anything work, guys. But you do have to get in there and be honest and truthful with each other. Because if you're not, you're just setting yourself up for the next divorce. So I do want to make sure that we end on a loving affirmation. Like I said, we just had a full moon, and definitely something that we want to make sure we clear out any negative things that might be hindering us from reaching our goals and from reaching to that mate that might be waiting out there for us. So I want to remove, removing things from our life that might not be beneficial to our relationships. So, and you taking a deep breath. So, removing things that are not in our life. Please remove anything that is in my life that is not for my best interest. Please remove things from my life that is not in my best interest, including people. Mashuru says, not only believe who they are, but don't hold on to who they say they want to be. And it's keeping you're holding on to hope. Yeah, that part is true. So please don't lose the affirmation. I do want to touch on this though, for sure. One of the things that I've noticed because I always want to talk with somebody who has goals, for sure. But you also want somebody that also has plans to go with those goals, and plans that are actually reliable, feasible. If they do not have solid plans, then more than likely they're going to fail. If their plans have to involve you, then more than likely you're going to be resentful because you have plans of your own. So it's not just a person who has goals, but a person who has a plan on reaching those goals. That's real. That's a solid thing to look for. Well, guys, that is my time. And we're going to talk, I think we covered a lot of ground on relationships and being single. So we're going to move forward then. And I think we might talk about gaslighting just a little bit to make sure that you're not being gaslit. But other than that, I think we will move forward on to relationships and how to make them work and how to save them if they're on the rocks. Okay. So if you're looking for me, you know you can find me right here at the same time, same place. Also, if you wanted to look at any of my other broadcasts, you may go to the Batchelor News Radio Network. Oh, sorry, the Batchelor News. thebatchelornews.airtime.pro. Ooh, I messed that one up. My boss gonna get me. Or you can hit me up on the DJ Dime. I always have blogs, and definitely the podcasts are still there. So thank you guys for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Peace and blessings.
Sometimes we fall in